Blackwater Abyss is helmed by Andrew Traucki and it stars Jessica McNamee and Luke Mitchell. Blackwater was released in 2007 on a budget of approximately $750,000 and it made its budget back. 1.25 million is what it says on IMDb. Blackwater Abyss, while the budget is not known, it has made $250,000 since its initial release in the UK cinemas on July the 4th. 1 month later, in Australian cinemas, it has now been unleashed, and I went to go check it out. A couple of little fun facts about Blackwater Abyss. The exact same director and producer on the original Blackwater are back to give us the sequel to it. So that's interesting in itself. And our lead star, Jessica McNamee, is Sonya Blade in next year's Mortal Kombat film. So I thought, instead of watching trailers, I'll just go into this film pretending that I'm going to see a prequel to Mortal Kombat 2021, Sonya Blade versus Killer Croc on the big screen. And did it work? Jessica McNamee was introduced to me in the film The Loved Ones, released in 2009. It is a criminally underrated horror film. Go check it out. I highly recommend that you go check out The Loved Ones. Blackwater Abyss follows the story of 5 young adventurers who travel from Queensland to the Northern Territory. The tour guide says he's got a great cave to check out. In actuality, he knows that there is a new system underground that he'd like to possibly name himself. Unfortunately, his timing's all out of whack because there is a massive weather system that is coming in from all corners of the compass and ready to block him in inside this cave where CGI awaits him. I have not seen any of this director or producer's previous work. They worked on another film called The Reef, and I didn't see the original Blackwater, but from what I see in this film, I am not interested in anything that they have to offer ever again, because some of the techniques that they use and some of the editorial, directorial choices that they choose to enforce on the viewer is really just, it's incorrect. For example, there are actors that are swimming under the water, and because it's a cave, it's naturally going to be dirty, green, muddy, murky water, and unfortunately they choose to get the camera and go right on the actors' faces with this brown color palette, and it's like that for a good portion of this film, and it is so unattractive and unappealing to look at that it ticked me off a fair bit. Is there any charm to this film? Jessica McNamee clearly has chops, and Luke Mitchell is not bad, but honestly, the director and the editor, the cinematography, I know I can't be too harsh on this film because it is a low budget Australian horror film, but I felt like this was just a nasty cash grab. Suspense and atmosphere, thrills and chills and violence, there's nothing. There is absolutely nothing in this film. I wanted it to end, and it goes for an hour and 40 minutes, which is 10 to 15 minutes longer than what this film really should have been. But they pumped up the tires and it's exploded on them. And halfway through the film, the script writers decided to drop a twist into the story that involves characters, and I couldn't help but laugh out loud in the cinemas. It was so unnecessary. It was so unearned, and it just made me laugh out loud so hard in the cinemas. The finale of this film too. Oh, I thought they showed some cojones. But in the end they didn't. Also, halfway through the film, I had to pull out my phone and check out and verify to myself whether or not this is actually something that can save someone's life. And I'm sorry, this is just a really mild spoiler, just a totally mild spoiler. So there is an asthmatic character, and he's on one side of a rock pool, and his missus is on the other side of the rock pool. His missus has the puffer, and she throws it, and the puffer lands in the water, and there's this big thing like, oh my god, we need to get the puffer, but the crocodile is right there, and through heroics, they get the puffer, and the guy goes, and he's all good. I had to get my phone out and Dr. Google whether or not if a wet puffer can still work. Lo and behold, don't ever get a puffer wet because it then becomes completely useless. And speaking of the croc, there is probably 3 or 4 moments of actual practical work. The rest is CGI bullcrap. The crocodile it's just one. There's not even like a cliched twist where like there's a dad or a mum or a baby crocodile. It's just one old nasty big ass crocodile, and it just was not scary. It was not thrilling, and I don't ever want to see this film again, if I'm being completely honest with you. There's just one other thing, and the soundtrack or the score for this film, it is so Jaws-like, and it is so repetitive. They replay it over and over and over again. And speaking of potentially ripping off other movies, well, it's not even potentially ripping off. The script writers sat down and watched The Descent. Yeah, they watched The Descent. There are so many other elements from The Descent that they've yanked and put into this film, and they think that we're not going to notice. It is so blatantly obvious. I dislike this film a whole lot more just for that reason alone. This is the worst film of 2020. I did not think my original choice for worst film of 2020 would be brought back down into the pack a little bit more, but it has been by this film. This is just a nasty, useless cash grab of a film, and to even think about using this as some sort of stepping stone or vehicle to get excited about Jessica McNamee as Sonya Blade is it's just doing everyone a disservice and an injustice, isn't it? This film for me gets half a star. I haven't seen a film like this in a couple of years. This really ticked me off. This film currently has 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's basically a 5 out of 10 or a 4 out of 10 on IMDb, and Metacritic. Nah, man, this is worse than that. This is worse than a 5 or a 4 for sure. For me, this is a half star out of 5. I completely urge you to not even, torrent this. Don't even pirate this, Shouldn't do it anyway, but don't do it. So that's it for me. I, again, thank you for giving my review a crack. And I wish you nothing but the best of fortunes for the upcoming future. Thank you very much for watching. Ta.